There's a quiet beauty in the everyday, isn't there? The way the coffee pot hisses awake at dawn, the soft thud of a screen door in summer, the unspoken promise of a mother's love stitched into every packed lunch and late-night talk. For 18 years, that was my life with Diane. Mom, as I'd called her since my first wobbly words. She was the woman who'd burned toast on my first day of school, who'd hollered herself hoarse at my softball games, who'd sat cross-legged on my bed with a tub of ice cream when my first love turned into my first heartbreak. We weren't perfect. Lord knows we could clash like thunder and lightning. But she was my rock, my North Star. So when she sat me down one humid July night, her hands trembling around a cold, empty mug, and said, "Sarah, I'm not your real mom." It wasn't just a confession. It was a tidal wave, washing away everything I thought I knew. Now, I'm left sifting through the wreckage, wondering if love can rebuild what truth tore down. It was the kind of summer evening that wraps you in a sticky embrace, the air so thick you can taste it. I'd graduated high school a month ago, my diploma still propped on the mantel next to a photo of us at the Grand Canyon. Me, gap-toothed and 10, Diane shielding her eyes from the sun. I was sprawled on our old couch, the one with the mystery stain we blamed on a cat we never owned, scrolling through dorm decor ideas on my phone. Ohio State was calling, a new chapter, and I was dreaming of twinkle lights, late-night study sessions, a life beyond our sleepy Ohio town. "Sarah, honey, can you come in here?" Diane's voice cut through the drone of the window AC, sharp and unsteady, like when she'd caught me sneaking in at 16 with Tara's lipstick smeared on my cheek. I groaned, tossing my phone aside, and shuffled into the kitchen. It smelled of lemon cleaner, but the coffee pot sat cold and silent. A warning sign I didn't catch right away. Diane lived on coffee. It was her lifeline, her ritual. She stood by the sink, her back to me, twisting a dish towel into knots. Her hair, once a rich chestnut, was streaked with gray, pulled into a bun that sagged like it was tired of holding on. "What's up, Mom?" I asked, sliding into a chair. The table wobbled under my elbows, a familiar quirk. She didn't turn around, just kept fussing with that towel, and the silence stretched thin, taut as a wire. "Sit down," she said finally, her voice so soft it barely reached me. She turned, and I saw her face, pale as a winter moon, eyes red and swollen, like she'd been crying all day and hiding it. Her nails, usually a bright coral, were chewed to the quick. "You okay?" My stomach flipped, a cold dread creeping in. "Are you sick? Is it... God, Mom, don't tell me it's something bad." She shook her head, pulling out the chair across from me. She sat, clutching an empty mug, her knuckles white against the chipped ceramic. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. "Something I should have told you years ago, but I didn't know how." "Mom, you're freaking me out. Just say it." My heart pounded, loud and insistent. She looked down, tracing a scratch on the table with her finger, a nervous habit I'd memorized over years of watching her fret over bills or my report cards. Then she met my eyes, and the pain in hers was so deep, so raw, I wanted to run before she could speak. "I'm not your biological mother, Sarah. I didn't give birth to you." The words hung there, heavy and impossible, like a foreign tongue I couldn't translate. I blinked, waiting for her to laugh, to say, "Gotcha," like when she'd hide my Easter basket in the oven. "What? I adopted you?" she said, her voice cracking open now, words tumbling out in a rush. "When you were a baby, your real mom, she couldn't keep you. I promised her I'd raise you as my own, and I have, Sarah. I've tried so hard. But you're 18 now, and you deserve the truth. I laughed, a sharp, ugly sound that didn't feel like mine. This is a joke, right? You're messing with me. But her face didn't shift. She just sat there, tears pooling, shrinking into herself, the woman who'd faced down my bullies reduced to a stranger. Sarah, No. I shoved the chair back, the legs shrieking against the linoleum. You don't get to do this. 18 years, Mom, Diane, whatever you are, you've been lying to me my whole life. I didn't lie. She stood too, her voice rising, desperate and pleading. I just didn't tell you everything. I was going to, so many times. I'd watch you sleep, your little chest rising and falling, or when you'd come home with those gold stars on your spelling tests, and I'd think, now's the time. But I couldn't. You were my little girl. You still are. Stop it. I grabbed my keys from the counter, my hands shaking so bad I fumbled them onto the floor. You don't get to call me that anymore. I can't even breathe in here. Sarah, please, let me explain. I didn't hear the rest. I was out the door, the screen slamming shut behind me, my sneakers pounding the gravel as I ran to my rusty Honda. The air was suffocating, but I didn't care. I had to get away, from her, from the kitchen, from the lie that had been my everything. I drove to Tara's, my best friend since 3rd grade, when we'd bonded over a shared loathing of dodgeball and Mrs. Carter's whistle. Her house was a split level 3 streets over, the garage door eternally stuck halfway. I must have looked like a disaster, hair wild, mascara streaking, because she didn't ask questions, just pulled me inside and handed me a pint of mint chocolate chip from her freezer. She's not my mom, I blurted after a bite, the cold stinging my teeth. Diane. She told me she adopted me. Tara's spoon froze midair, her brown eyes wide as saucers. Wait, what? Like, not your real mom at all? Nope, some other woman gave birth to me, and Diane's been playing pretend my whole life. Holy crap, Sarah. She set the ice cream down, scooting closer on the couch. I don't even know what to say. Are you okay? No, I said, stabbing the carton so hard the spoon bent. I'm pissed, and confused, and, God, Tara, I don't even know who I am anymore. Everything I thought I knew, it's gone, like someone pulled the rug out and I'm just falling. She let me crash there that night, and the next 6 after that. Diane called, 5 times the first day, her voicemails piling up like storm debris. Sarah, honey, please come home. I'm so sorry. We need to talk. Then 3 the next, her voice cracking like dry twigs. I didn't mean to hurt you. Please, just let me know you're safe. I deleted them all, each one a fresh wound, a reminder of the betrayal. Tara didn't push, bless her heart. She just kept the ice cream coming and let me rant, pacing her living room in mismatched socks. She raised you, though, she said one night, tentative, as we watched some reality show about cheating husbands and fake tears. Doesn't that count for something? Yeah, it counts for a lie, I snapped, yanking the blanket tighter around me. What else hasn't she told me? What if I've got a dad out there, or brothers, sisters? God, what if I'm not even from here? What if I'm some kid she picked up like a stray? She didn't have answers, and I didn't expect her to. But her words stuck, burrowing into the chaos of my mind. Diane had been there. Every fever, every scraped knee, every time I'd sobbed over a B on a math test. She'd sewn my Cinderella costume when I was 6, stayed up all night gluing popsicle sticks for a forgotten project, taught me how to parallel park in her rattling Toyota until we were both laughing so hard we cried. Did blood really matter more than that? By day 7, I couldn't run anymore. The anger was still there, a live wire sparking in my chest, but beneath it was something softer. Grief maybe, or a hunger for answers. So I drove back, the radio off, the silence loud with my own heartbeat. She was in the garden when I pulled up, kneeling in the dirt, her sun hat crooked like always. The sight of her hit me like a punch. Mud-streaked jeans, that faded plaid shirt she'd worn since I was a kid, the way she brushed her hands on her thighs as she stood. She looked up, and the relief on her face was so raw, so unguarded, I almost turned the car around. "Sarah," she said, her voice trembling as she stepped toward me. "I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I should have told you everything." "Yeah, you should have," I said, crossing my arms tight across my chest. "Who's my real mom, Diane? And don't give me some half-baked story. I deserve the truth, all of it." She flinched when I called her Diane, not Mom, but nodded, wiping her hands again, a nervous tic I'd seen 1,000 times. "Her name was Emily, Emily Harper. She was my best friend." "Was?" My voice shook, though I tried to steady it. "She's gone," Diane said, tears spilling down her cheeks, cutting tracks through the garden dust. "She died right after you were born. Cancer. She asked me to take you, Sarah. She didn't have anyone else." The air left my lungs, a slow, painful leak. "Cancer? So she's dead?" Diane nodded, stepping closer, though she stopped when I tensed. "I met her in college, freshman year at Kent State. She was something else. Wild, funny, the kind of person who'd drag you out to dance in the rain or show up with her hair dyed purple just because she felt like it. We were thick as thieves, me and Em. When she got pregnant with you, she was terrified. Didn't know what to do, didn't have a plan. Then the diagnosis came. Stage 4, out of nowhere. And she begged me to take you if she didn't make it." My throat tightened, a sob clawing its way up. "Why didn't you tell me? All those years, every birthday, every Mother's Day, why didn't you say anything?" "I wanted to protect you," she said, her voice breaking open, raw and ragged. "Emily loved you, Sarah, but she was a mess. She drank too much, bounced from job to job, couldn't keep a steady boyfriend. She couldn't have raised you, even without the cancer. I thought if you knew, you'd feel abandoned, like you weren't enough. I wanted you to feel wanted, loved, because you were. You are. Every single day, you've been my whole world." I couldn't look at her. My eyes burned, my chest ached, and all I could see was this woman, Emily, dying, handing me off like a burden she couldn't carry. "What about my dad?" I asked, my voice small, a child's again. "Do I even have one?" Diane hesitated, then shook her head, her shoulders slumping. "Emily never told me who he was. She said it didn't matter, that he was gone before she even knew she was pregnant. I pressed her once, but she shut down. Said he was a mistake she didn't want you tied to." "I don't know, Sarah. I wish I did. I wish I had more to give you." That night, I sat on my bed, the same twin I'd slept in since I was 4, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to the ceiling. Emily, my birth mom, had been real, flawed, gone before I could even cry for her. Diane had chosen me, not out of duty, but something deeper, something I couldn't name yet. But it hurt. God, it hurt, like a wound I kept picking at, bleeding fresh every time I thought of it. The next morning, I woke to find a shoebox on my bed, the kind Diane used to stash old receipts or holiday cards. A note was taped to the top in her loopy handwriting. "I should have given you this sooner. I'm sorry." Inside were photos, dozens of them, edges curling with age. Emily, young and laughing, her hair a wild tangle of curls, standing with Diane on some beach, sand stuck to their legs. Another of her in a hospital gown, pale but smiling, cradling a tiny bundle. Me, I realized, my breath catching in my throat. There were Polaroids, too. Emily with a guitar, strumming on a dorm room floor. Emily and Diane at a fair, cotton candy in hand, grinning like the world was theirs. And a letter, folded tight, the ink smudged in places from tears or time. Dear, if you're reading this, I didn't make it. I'm sorry for leaving you with this mess. She's perfect, isn't she? My little girl. I wanted to be there, to watch her grow, to teach her how to climb trees and sing off key like me. But God had other plans. Give her everything I couldn't. Love, a home, those awful oatmeal cookies you make that taste like cardboard. Tell her I loved her, even if I screwed up everything else. You're her mom now. Thank you. M. I read it 3 times, tears dripping onto the paper, blurring the words until they swam. I cried until my chest ached, until I couldn't tell if I was crying for Emily, for Diane, or for the me I'd lost in that kitchen. I cried for the mother I'd never know, the one who'd loved me in her broken way, and for the one who'd raised me, who'd carried that secret like a stone in her heart. We're trying now, Diane and me. It's messy, fragile, like a quilt patched with mismatched thread. Some days I call her Mom, and it slips out easy, a habit too deep to break. Other days I call her Diane, and it's a wall, a cold space between us. She's still the woman who knows I hate mushrooms and love the smell of rain, who can tell I'm lying by the way I fidget with my hair. But there's a crack in us, a fault line we're both learning to navigate, step by careful step. Last week, I asked if we could visit Emily's grave. Diane nodded, tears in her eyes, and we drove 2 hours to a little cemetery outside Cleveland. The stone was small, weathered. Emily Harper, 1975 to 1996. Loved beyond measure. I laid a daisy on it, my hands shaking, and whispered, I wish I'd known you. Diane stood back, giving me space, but I felt her there, steady as ever, a tether in the storm. On the drive home, the wind whispered through the open windows, and I found myself talking, really talking, for the first time since that night. Did she ever sing to me? I asked, my voice barely above the hum of the engine. Diane smiled, a small, sad thing. All the time. She'd sit there in that hospital bed, hooked up to all those machines, and sing Blackbird until her voice gave out. Said it was for you, to make sure you'd know her somehow. I closed my eyes, trying to imagine it. Emily's voice, rough and sweet, weaving through the sterile air. I couldn't hear it, not really, but I wanted to believe it was there, tucked somewhere in me, a melody I'd forgotten. Yesterday, I found a scrap of paper in the box, a phone number scribbled in Emily's shaky hand, no name attached. Diane didn't recognize it, said it could have been anyone, a nurse, a friend, maybe even him, the father I'll never know unless I chase it. I stared at it for hours, the digits blurring into a question mark. Should I call? Should I dig deeper, risk more cracks in this fragile thing I'm rebuilding with Diane? Or should I let it lie, let Emily rest, let Diane be enough? I don't know yet. The number's still on my dresser, a tiny bomb waiting to go off. Diane's downstairs now, humming as she waters her roses, the same woman who raised me, who loved me through the lie. Emily's out there in the ether, a ghost I'll never hold. And me? I'm somewhere in between, a girl with 2 mothers, one lost, one found, and a story that's only half written. What would you do? Call the number or let it go? I'm still deciding.